All right, I think we will start now. No one is joining anymore. So thanks for joining our first official webinar for Liquify Pro. So I hope everything works fine and you can hear me well. So I already started the recording, so if you need to leave at some point, you can later check the recording and we will publish it on YouTube, so you can review it again if you have missed anything. All right, so let's start. So I'm the presenter today. I'm Jonas, one of the co-founders of Liquify and also of Halbstark. And in the chat already is Marvin and Florian. They will ask like the quick questions in the chat if you have anything. And we also have planned a bigger Q&A at the end of the webinar where we can discuss some bigger questions about the product, about process and all that stuff. So I think we can start right into our agenda. And if you find any spelling issues or something, then just raise them or however you want. So today we want to look at a small introduction of our company and also Liquify, like the direction where we came from and where we want to go. And then a complete overview about Liquify Pro itself, like how the platform is working and whom is it for. Then we have like a setup guide where you can, or where we want to show you how we use Liquify, like all the tools you need and how you prepare everything for your first Shopify project. And then we want to get directly into Webflow and check how to set attributes to get like the first section up and running. And then what should be very interesting, we have brought some bigger project from our agency and how we made it, and how like a few sections and possibilities you can check. Maybe they are also useful for your projects. And then we want to show you a bit about the future of Liquify Pro, so the roadmap which we are currently working on and want to work in the future on. And then at the end we have this Q&A session where you can just ask your questions, and we will use the Google Meet Q&A feature. So I think when you go under activities, you can ask questions over there, and then we can bring them up at the end so you can write them down already. All right, then just a small introduction about Liquify Pro and Halbstark. So we are like I would say a small agency from Germany. We found Webflow in 2017 somehow, and we're already using Shopify and Webflow. At the beginning was not really combined, so we had Shopify projects where we just set up themes for our clients, and we had these Webflow projects where we just made Webflow projects. And at some point we used other tools, like I think a few of you already know them, like Udesly, and there are some converters on the market which you also let's build Shopify themes right from Webflow. And this is something we did like 2 or 3 years, and we were never really happy with the results, and also our client expectations, they were rising in terms of features and the professionality or the quality of the code, and we had really big problems with with bigger clients and Udesly and other converters. And this was the point where we then started to say, okay, we want to start build our own converter. We started with this in 2022 and already made some projects in our at our own agency. And then after I think 1 year we opened the open beta, and now I think in December we had the official release of Liquify Pro. And at Halbstark we really love Shopify, and also we really love Webflow. So these are like our main tools which we build our agency on top of, and it's working quite well at the moment. And that's also the reason, the biggest reason to bring like these both worlds nearer together. And also what we learned in the past, like for German agencies, always pretty hard in terms of DSGVO or like these technical issues which you have with servers and privacy stuff. And we learned that Shopify is a pretty good company for building bigger e-commerce projects, and that's also what we learned, that we want to also focus a bit more on Shopify to bring to land bigger clients here also in Germany. And this also possible because of Liquify Pro at the moment. All right, then I want to just quickly summarize the core principles of Liquify Pro. So the aim, as already said, is combining the best of both worlds. So we have on the one side Webflow, which has this very nice front-end builder tool where you can visually program HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And on the other side, you have Shopify, which gives you a ton of functionality to run an e-commerce system, and also a very, very nice content management system where you have this, as you can see it here, the editor, and also meta objects, pages, blog posts, and where you can also run a full-fledged website without even using the shop. And we really, really like the editor of Shopify. And this is also something Liquify, compared to other tools, is aiming to give the client at the end the most flexible way to edit their store, like creating new sections, edit blocks, edit a new slider, or that kind of stuff. And the main difference is from headless system that Liquify Pro is a theme builder. So at the end you don't connect it with a headless app in Shopify and then keep it in sync whenever a customer is on your website. It's more like you have your development infrastructure in Webflow, and you have your Shopify infrastructure where you have all the content and the client stuff and products and orders inside of Shopify. So Webflow is mainly for development and changing designs and that kind of stuff, and not about changing content. So in the past years, we have learned that like Liquify can be quite hard. Like the learning curve is quite hard. So also the question is always like, who is Liquify Pro for? And like this, it's like we aim to have it more like a pro tool where you can the building possibilities are endless, and on the other side giving like pre-built components where you can very quickly get to a point where you say, okay, let's launch the store. But Liquify Pro is at the end for freelancers and agencies like ourselves, where you build stores for your clients and manage them via Webflow and Liquify, and every client has their own store where you can where they can sell their products. But this is like the core overview of Liquify Pro. And we launched 1 year ago the GitHub integration, which is like a big role, which plays a big role in our theme development part, and also Shopify's GitHub integration works pretty well, and this is why we also built this integration for Liquify. And this graphic, like I hope this helps. So Webflow is on the one side like only the development tool. You export your code, upload it into Liquify. We then recognize the tags you've set up in Webflow, convert it into the liquid template language from Shopify. And then when you have connected it to GitHub, we merge the changes you have made to the the theme itself. So in GitHub there's the theme file, and you always just push the changes into GitHub. And then on the other side you have Shopify, where you connect to GitHub and keep then the theme in sync. So whenever you make a content change, this will be a commit to GitHub, and so the content, everything actually lies then in Shopify and is synced with GitHub. And what the key benefit is that we can work in both systems. So when the client is working on content or adding new pages and landing pages, it does not disturb our process in the development. So we can just make, let's say, a new section, or we change one section because there's a bug or something in the CSS not so good, and then you can just create a new version. Liquify always creates then a pull request where you can check all the changes and then merge it with the current theme. And this process makes it very, very easy for our clients, because a lot of them, they are working on their own. They're creating landing pages, product pages, change content, and we don't need to keep track of all of that, what they're doing. We can just concentrate on creating new features and new sections and that kind of stuff. All right, then I want to jump in the tools you need to run a professional Shopify agency. I think a lot of you maybe already have this, but what you clearly need is a Webflow account where you can export the code from the website. This is most in the freelance or agency plan, or when you have a regular Webflow plan, then it starts with the paid plans, but it's not possible to use a free Webflow plan and export code. This is something you need to keep in mind. And then what we really recommend is the Shopify partner account. This is completely free. You can sign up as an agency or freelancer. And the main benefit is that you can create stores in a development stage where you don't need to pay for them. And there you can just create themes, check everything out, test everything. And then only before you change, or not change, but when you transfer the shop to the customer, then they need to pay for the Shopify plan. And then at last you have the GitHub account, which is the last tool stack, where you create a repository for each project and connect it to Liquify and Shopify. But this is also free. There are also paid plans, but we are currently all on free plan. And then the Liquify Pro plan is actually only needed when you start converting, so you can already start building your theme in Webflow, set everything up, and then when you say, okay, this is a stage where it makes sense to start converting, you create your Liquify Pro account, create a project, and start on converting. So actually Liquify Pro is only necessary when you convert. So when you are it's not so smart telling you on the sales way, but to be honest, when you have finished a project and you don't need to make any changes, then Liquify Pro is not necessary anymore to have an active subscription, because we only get in touch with the theme when you start converting it, and afterwards Liquify is out of the game, I would say. All right. I think we can now get into the first section, or into Liquify. So this is what I wanted to show you on the Shopify partner page. So our Shopify partner profile looks like this. We have all the stores here inside and can access them from here, which was it's always the same in Webflow, that you can also join other workspaces like this in also Shopify. Yeah, so let's start. So what we always write everywhere is it makes sense to always use the clonable template. You can check it on our website or in the Webflow theme store, not theme store, but in the clonables. Just hit on clone in Webflow, and then you have a starting point, and we already have a lot of pages set up which Shopify already needs, like account pages and product pages, article pages. This makes always sense to use it. Currently it's only available in client first. Maybe in the future we also set it up for other frameworks or CSS systems, but currently it's only client first. All right, and then what you can do next is create your project. So you can just hit new project, webinar test. And inside of here, like this, quite simple, we would say, we have this script. This is already copied in the template, but you can, there are some helper scripts where you can also have the debugger inside, and also for closing and opening drop downs and that kind of stuff is already inside. Then we have the title of the project and also the default language code. So when you have built a Shopify theme, you always need to say, okay, this default language is EN or DE, depends on the client. All right. And then we can go into Webflow when you have cloned it, the template. I'll make it a bit bigger. And like the main thing, I think, other tools in Webflow, we build our system on setting custom attributes. We have like a range of attributes which you can set to mark it as a section, to mark it as a variable as an object to access data from the shop, or you can also set it as a editable content, like a headline where you can later change it in Shopify. And there's a complete overview in the documentation, what kind of stuff you can use. But I don't want to go into the detail today, but we already have some tutorials and there are more coming. But like a Shopify theme is always needs, like the template structure is always same. So you have on the one side, you have all the navigation and global styles and footer, which is outside of the main wrapper, where like on every page you have the same navigation bar and footer. And inside of the main wrapper is like where the magic happens, where you can set up the sections, and these content for layout tag says to Shopify, inside of here everything can be dynamic. So you can delete a section, you can add a section, you can change them directly in here. And a section is always, so inside the main wrapper only sections can be placed, and the section will be tagged with any section, and you can just use a name, whatever you want, whatever you like. And then inside of a section you can work with normal elements, Webflow elements, and then tag them via custom attributes. So we have currently the one app running, which is also in the store, but maybe Marvin can also give you a glimpse of our new app, which will hopefully improve your workflow a lot. But also here you can see the summary of all the tags you can use. And like how to use the tags, you can just say you want to have a setting attribute, you want to change the text here, and create the value or like the label for it. And you can just type in, for example, headline, hit enter, and then it will be added to the current element which you have selected. And then like there are various use cases for example, text, headlines, button links, for images, so you can make it editable for your client. And like here you have LE settings rich text, you have LE settings URL to change to a URL of the button. Here we have LE settings collection. So there are a few tools you can use. One very nice tool is LE block. You can see it here. You can imagine them like as the new slots in Webflow. Shopify already had it, where you can say, okay, this is a repeating element. Just put it on one block, which can be, which should be repeated. For example, a slider or like this grid view, which we have here, and then later on you can duplicate it, like the content in Shopify. And also inside of there, you can say this one is a title, this one has the image on it, and so you can go deeper inside sections. And I think we will just go onto the product page for 1 second to check out some objects. And so Shopify has like a huge range of objects which you can use to, for example, display a product title or anything else. And with Liquify we use this dot notation. So you can just say, okay, this is any object. You can use any HTML attribute, for example, href for a link or placeholder, whatever you want. So it's just pretty open. And then here you can say product.title, and we will access the product object and then the title of this object. And then when you are on the product page, you will see the product title of this specific product. And this is useful for displaying the description of the product or displaying the product images or the price of the product. So there are a lot of use cases where it makes sense to use LE object. And like a whole list of Shopify objects, also you can find it in the documentation of I think we already have linked it here. So there's a cheat sheet from Shopify where you can see these are all the objects you can use. So there are a lot of information you can get from Shopify. So, and when you're happy with what you have built and say, okay, this is now the finished version, you can go onto the Webflow logo, hit export or Shift E, and then you just need to wait until it's ready for export. And then you can go back to, just need to sign into my real account. And here you can then see, I just need to create a project again. And here you have this possibility to connect to GitHub. So it's not necessary to do it like this, but we highly recommend because it makes the process much, much faster, and also in terms of version control and way more professional to do it like this. So you hit connect to GitHub, then you need to authorize this GitHub Liquify Pro app. Just hit on authorize. Choose which account you want to connect. Currently, we only support one account, not organizations, but this will change in the near future. And then you select the repository you want to connect to. So I always have all repositories because I only use it in terms of Liquify. Then you come back and you can go into the project again. And then we will crawl in the background the repositories from your GitHub account. And when it's finished, you can select one you have here. Okay, check this testing repository, then you hit connect. And then at the next step, the branches of this repository will load. Just takes some time. The GitHub API is not that fast. And then you can choose maybe the main, or you can also create new branches where it makes sense to have like a test or a playground theme to test things out before you go live. And then you just hit upload here in with the downloaded file, and then you can just need to wait until it's converted. You hit the open pull request, and you can merge it to the live site. Let's just go into the store. So here you see it, that you can then click on Add Theme, connect from GitHub, and here's like the same process. You need to select the account, the repository, and then the branch you want to connect. But I have already done this, and now we can click on Customize when it's connected, and here you can see like these hero settings we have set, like an image or a text or a link. And then you can also rearrange these elements. And this works on every page, even the product page, where you can also create new pages. Let's go on the default page. You can just hit plus and then say, I want to have this hero again. Let's delete the default section, then you can go on. And what is quite nice is that you always have access to just search for a section which makes sense. Let's use this one. And here you always see you have access to dynamic sources. So you can always say, let's use the article title on this side, so you can delete this and say I want to have, I'm currently on the template page and I want to have the page title do not sell or show. Okay, this is currently a page which exists, but you can also work with this and create like these template views for specific pages where you can put in dynamic data. So this makes it very powerful. So I think if there are any bigger questions, I will now proceed into like these examples where it makes, I think in your head makes a lot more sense to what you can achieve with this. And yeah. Good. Check Discord. All right. Then let's go into the examples. So we have one client, or maybe we can start from the beginning. So we have normally we have always like the main theme, a playground theme, and also maybe a testing theme where the client can change content before it goes live. So I now go into the playground theme, and any changes I will make here that are not reflected on the live theme. So one thing I want to show you here is we have created, like this is a very content heavy page, and we have created a rich text builder for this client because they have a lot of content they want to put on the page in terms of SEO. And here we have these rich text elements, and the client can always I think I need to delete some first. can add when he clicks on plus, and has access to a range of different types of block elements. He can, for example, say I want to have an H2, and afterwards I want to have a paragraph, and then when I go down, like these changes are reflected in this rich text element. And the client always can say, okay, I want to rearrange this element, say, okay, this needs to be about this, and this gives a lot of flexibility for our clients. And I say, okay, you could also use a regular rich text element, but we have a few different, like this funnel view, which you can also just click here and say, I want to have the funnel element down here. Call to action. He can change the images and the links, and then he can set it up however he wants to have it. And this gives like the client really loved it at the end, and built up all the pages on their own. And they said they never did so much on their own website in the past 4 years than in the past 2 weeks. It was very nice. And then you can also use like these spacer elements when you want to have like bigger distances between a headline or a paragraph. And then we also can set some custom values, for example, bigger or smaller space, which they can also use quite freely. And then when we check out Webflow, just going on a page, all I have done in Webflow was creating this section. So this is the same section on every page. I think there are 10 pages which are using this rich text element. And now we have this wrapping element, like this is a content for blocks, which says, okay, here you can place blocks in a different or a lot of blocks or a different type of blocks. And then here I have these rich text elements. So I only design them once. So yeah, I have the H1, LE block, H2 or H3, and inside there's the setting you can use, and then there are different elements or underneath each other. And if the client then says I need a new element for this rich text, currently we had this PDF download. I just created a new block, synced it to via GitHub, and then he had this feature, and now he can use it on every page in this section, and without destroying anything of their content, what they have done. And like this is like the power of using also blocks and what you can do with them. I have another example. Here we are on the cart page, and the client, they need a lot of information from their client to make even the offer, or also the to process this order. And here we built a form builder for them. We have like also like these different types of elements. For example, a input, like a normal input, where you can say I need this at the top underneath the headline, and they want to they need to edit the label, or they need to remove the description text, and then they can say this attribute, like this value has the name, for example, the customer name, and then everything which will be filled out here will also be sent or added to the order. And you can also always give these custom attributes with LE settings custom and say this is a required attribute input field or not. And then you are completely free to give the client the possibility to use, for example, a bigger input text, medium size, which is like full length, or also we have the spacer element again, and also checkboxes or radio buttons. But this is up to you. It depends on the client what he wants to do. So just remove this because now this store is not live, but let's just check if I don't want to disturb him. And here in Webflow again, when I go onto the cart page, you can see that it's set up quite simple. So you only need to define these elements once. Whoop. 1 second. So I have here this normal input field. These settings are on top. And then we used this new LE settings custom, where we can also write some custom schema to give, for example, this required checkbox or the name of the input. And then there are different attributes to use to say, okay, if block settings required is equals true, then you should set the required HTML tag, and if not, then not. And also giving the setting name, so you can really play around with it. All right. Then we have one client who wants or has a lot of product releases over the time, and they always asked us to create a new landing page, and we were in the back end duplicating everything for them, and it was very annoying. And now they have also Liquify Pro now, and they can build their landing pages completely on their own. So what they do is like creating, go into pages, scroll to the bottom and say create a template. So new product launch, and say this should be on top of the 66 North landing page, and create a template. And now it's like a complete copy of the other landing page, and now you're free to go to this is the header, but here the hero, to change the content of this section. And here we have also buttons which are displayed when it's filled. Just create a text, so they can really customize it however they want. And this is set for the whole page, so I can do it with every section from the whole store, so they have no limits at the end. So then we go to Fortis. This is a quite new store launched by Jan and Florian, and they it was a very also content heavy store, and we struggled a lot with loading times and making it as efficient as possible. And they wanted to tell a lot about their watches because they are quite expensive, and they it's not possible to just say some words with a description and some images, but they want to bring over this emotion of the watches. And go inside of here. What I want to show you is how you can use the section rendering API with Liquify Pro and Shopify. So the section rendering API is a tool Shopify provides you, which is quite nice. You can get section information from the Shopify server in raw HTML and then place it inside of your store somewhere. So this is a normal product page, and these elements are just variants of the page. And we have a lot of content, images, text, and which are all placed in meta objects or meta fields. And if we wanted to change something, like in terms of with a normal variant watch, it wouldn't be possible because you can't put on the meta objects information inside of a product object. And then we use the section rendering API. So we click on a button, then we make an request to the section rendering API, say, okay, now the main product is this variant ID, and we will get the information back with all the meta objects from this watch. And then what you can see here, there's like these completely new loaded images, even inside of here, and also the efficiency of like this loading process is very, very fast. So there's no delay or something. And this is always asking the server to give us a new section, rendering it on the page, and it's very, very nice. Here's one thing you can also mention. This is also built completely with Liquify Pro. So we have we have another agency who provided us the 3D data, and then we just made a meta object with all the dots. So the client can say, okay, this dot needs to be positioned on the X, epsilon and Y and Z axis, and then when you click on one of the dots, they can also put in these informations. Then we head into Werkstatt, which was a project by Marvin, and Florian did the design, and there are a few nice things which gives the client more options, because, like, as you can imagine, when you give the client more options to customize their store, then it's always hard to maintain that this always looks good. And we have a lot of we struggle a lot with like when we create different pages and they have a different background, for example, and then when you change the row, then sometimes there are two white sections on top of it, which looks a bit off. And here we have a also custom setting where the client can choose if they are on top or beneath other colored sections or the same color. Then you can choose, say, okay, this should be a light green section or even a dark green section, and then they can be consistent in the design. And like these possibilities which you can offer your client, they are endless, because you can build with the CSS, HTML, and then the schema of your section is very nice. We have, for example, or Marvin made also another section for the client, because sometimes they need a bigger space between the section, and then he created a spacer section, which also has the same feature. He can set the different colors, but he can also set the height of the section and say, okay, this should be 100 pixels or 400 pixels. And also on mobile, they can do it, like I don't see it here, but they can change the height on mobile also. So there's a lot of flexibility for the client in here. All right. So I think that's it so far for like the deep dive examples. So the main goal was to show you that you there's a whole bunch of tools you can give to your clients and also to yourself. So if you're also managing the store, then it's way easier to create a landing page directly here in Shopify without bothering the code or something, which makes the process of launching or bringing a new product to life very much faster. And this is also a big selling point for our clients. All right. I think, are there any bigger questions regarding these points? Small questions we can answer directly, or should we proceed? Do you want to say
I
something?
think, I think you can continue.
All right. Good. Then let's continue back in Figma. One step ahead. So just wanted to give you a glimpse of the stuff we are currently working on. And currently we work on a few smaller updates, which we already put live last week, but we had some issues, and hopefully we can bring them online this week. There are a few updates which I will then inform you in the Discord channel, which are quite handy. For example, section groups. Thanks. Section groups and other things which are quite nice. For example, a new variant swatch for the product side, which you then can use with subscription apps. Oh, I was talking 5 minutes. Sorry. I think you can also not see me, is that right?
Yeah, we can't see you at the moment.
Strange. I have the camera here, but yeah, it doesn't matter. Now you can see me. Yeah. So I was telling you that we are working on a few updates currently, and also have done a lot in the past months, which we want to bring live in the next few days. In terms of we have section groups, we have a new product hero for the variant swatch, where you can also combine with subscription apps and also add properties to your order, where you can, for example, add other information than just the variant information to your order, which also very, very helpful. And when this is live, we are focusing more on the section rendering API to make it attributes based. So you already can use it just as us, but the attribute solution is still in the progress. So Jan is currently working on it, and it's we need to finish the documentation and giving you a proper overview. But this is in our view a very big step in terms of efficiency in your store. Then we have blocks inside blocks, which we're really looking forward to. This is a feature launched by Shopify in the winter editions, where we have it here. This is a bit of a change into the template structure of Shopify, and the main goal is to display blocks inside of each other. I can show you on this. Maybe someone else can search for the link in the team, but the main goal is to nest blocks inside of each other. So you can build a column, and inside of there you can say, okay, headline, text and buttons. So it gives even more flexibility to your clients. But this is something we now will focus on, so you can use it also with Liquify Pro. Then going back, so already working on the tutorials. So we also have more in the pipeline currently, which we finish. And I think this is also very crucial for the success of Liquify, because currently it's quite hard to get into Liquify Pro to learn everything, and tutorials would help a lot to use Liquify Pro. And then we have a new Webflow app, which Marvin is working on. I already mentioned it. I think after that we can take a look at the new app. And then we have a goal on using GitHub organizations, so you can work together on repositories and don't need to switch Liquify accounts or something, which also helps, or is a highly requested feature also in our agency. And then also in terms of efficiency, we want to focus on tree shaking, where you can say, like, you know that Webflow is always storing all the CSS in one file, which can be very big if you don't pay attention to it. And we want to create like specific CSS files for every page when you convert it, and then it's more like the page loading gets more efficient. And this we can get more out of the performance of your Shopify store. Yeah, I think these are the ones we like these bigger steps. Then we have a lot of smaller tasks where we say, okay, let's make this experience a bit better, but these are the bigger ones. And if you have any idea, just let us know, or you're missing anything, then we can also put it on our roadmap. All right, then let's just quickly check out the Webflow app, and then we can start with the Q&A session.
So can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I hear me double.
Yeah, 1 second.
So one moment. So can you explain how it actually works with your playground version? Does it mean you have a second site that you may adjust, and then after adjusting you apply it to the main website, or how does it work?
Yeah, good question. Let's dive into it. So like the main advantage of having a playground theme is always not destroying anything on the live page, which can happen, which can always happen, and this is like one fallback which you can use. And you can, like, when you go into GitHub, check it out. I go into this repository, and
You are not sharing at the moment.
thanks. All right. So you can always see here the repository and also the other branches. Like here I have the main and also the playground theme. You can build up a process where you can say, I want to commit the stuff I have done in the playground or in another testing theme into the live theme, so that you never touch the main theme from Liquify directly. So when you go into GitHub, you can say, okay, this is my playground or another main theme, for example, which is only for testing purpose. You can say this branch is ahead of like the main branch, and then you can always say merge this theme into the main branch. And then you can say create a pull request. Then it checks if there are any conflicts, and if not, you can just merge it. So here are a few conflicts which you then need to solve. Normally, if they are not so away from each other, then you can just merge it and resolve the conflicts. But here you can see all the difference, and always if you want to go back to another commit or something, this is always quite nice because you see every change will be tracked in GitHub.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So we always have, like, at some point a client says, oh, we are not happy with something, and it's always nice to go back to a version before and not solving the problem, or not need to solve the problem right immediately, because that can be quite stressful, and then you can just revert the merge, say, okay, it's now up and running again, and then you can work on the fix for the problem. So GitHub gives you a lot of flexibility in version control, and also in giving your client a higher quality control. And you can also compare these files side by side, which is also quite helpful. Even when you make changes, you can say, let's check all the changes I've made. For example, let's go into a section. Do we have here? So here I've made changes to, I don't know actually what. I think, yeah, we have changed, make some changes on the form, on the product form, and then it will be highlighted here. And then you can say it makes sense like this, or if you need to make a rework on this. So before the client even sees it, you can already have a quality control check inside of here. Yeah, if you don't have any more, then we'll say thank you from the whole team. And we also want to have a little gift to you. So we have another discount with 15% where you can use to on a monthly or yearly plan for Liquify Pro. And I will also email it you to all the participants later on. But yeah, thank you very much for your attention, and hope to see you again. And if you have any recommendation on another webinar or something where we need to deep dive on how to sell Shopify stores or how we have our setup, then ask us if there's any ideas or something you struggle with. So we are an agency who has a bit of experience in this kind of field, and then maybe we can help each other out. All right, then have a nice day, evening or afternoon, whatever, and hope to see you again. Bye bye.